told me, Mom, it's really, like, I feel really bad, and I think I'm gonna die. And I said, no, not today.
A parent's worst nightmare. Ava Inglet, a healthy high schooler, went from a fun-filled weekend at the lake to the ICU.
So you get to the hospital, and you guys find out she has kidney failure.
My first statement was, are you sure you're in the right room? And she said, yes, sir. Well, this is the correct room. She has E. coli, and that she's got a specific type of E. coli that causes kidney failure. And I was just floored. Like, how does that even happen?
So I was in shock. I was just kind of like, what? Like, what is that?
Ava had hemolytic uremic syndrome, a disease caused by E. coli bacteria, one of many dangerous organisms waiting to pounce on unsuspecting swimmers. And she's hardly alone. The CDC estimates more than 5 million people contract waterborne illnesses each year from ingesting contaminated water in lakes, oceans, and pools.
There are bacteria, parasites, and viruses, and they can cause a range of health outcomes, but most commonly, they are ear infections and skin infections, gastrointestinal disease, and respiratory infections.
Just today, we counted more than 300 beach advisories and closings across the country due to contamination. The highest numbers we found in Massachusetts, Texas, and California, with several other states surpassing a dozen.
A health alert tonight, nearly 24 people sick, many kids, after swimming in a Virginia lake.
Back in Virginia, Ava was one of 23 lakegoers to contract E. coli Memorial Day weekend at Lake Anna. The outbreak making local and national headlines.
There are several reasons why there could be increases, but one kind of theme that emerges in research is that we have more extreme weather events, and these events mobilize these infectious pathogens that are already in the environment and make it more likely that we encounter them. Thank you.
Mara Diaz is a water quality manager for Surfrider Foundation, a nonprofit founded by surfers in California nearly 40 years ago. Since then, it's transformed into an army of volunteers with 60 labs across the country.
We're trying to fill in the gaps of the agency-run beach programs. So our volunteers are testing where the agencies aren't, and there's still work to be done.
Mara coordinates the testing, including here on Long Island, New York.
We're testing for fecal indicator bacteria. It's called Enterococcus. When there's fecal pollution, there could be pathogens and types of things that could cause you to be sick. So, for instance, I see that there's some bird droppings, and that's one of the big sources of pollution.
Next up, the team heads back to the lab to incubate the samples.
So we're going to go ahead and read our early samples. I'm going to put it under the black light and see it glow, and then I'm going to go ahead and count the cells. So I have 37 large wells, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small wells.
And just like 1/3 of tests they run here, red flags.
Which is a high bacteria rating?
Yes, for that site.
Mara believes a lack of national testing standards leaves swimmers vulnerable to disease.
The Virginia Department of Health reported that the Department of Environmental Quality collected routine samples for E. coli on April 2nd, May 6th, June 4th. And they claimed that E. coli concentrations of each sample were so low that they could not be measured. What could they have done differently?
They should be testing going into the Memorial Day weekend. And I'm not trying to villainize, the agency. They don't have enough resources to test all their beaches all the time.
The Virginia Department of Health didn't test Lake Anna until a full week after Memorial Day, but says the lake water was likely to blame for the outbreak and has closed its investigation. It says food contamination was ruled out.
How did having E. coli impact your plans?
It honestly upset me because I was really excited for summer, and now I have restrictions on things.
And her parents' warning to others?
There needs to be an awareness, and they need to know that in some cases, you can lose your kidneys. I mean, flat out, it's scary.
When people are getting on their boats with their families and friends, they're not thinking about runoff or E. coli in the water. So awareness is what is missing from all of this.